Where is the sacred temple that has been lost for 500 years? Telu's research would drag him into a dangerous Arctic adventure with wise elder Welu and experienced guide Pelu. But the place they found held a much bigger secret than they expected. This discovery would reveal the true purpose of the Northern Lights at the point where modern science meets ancient wisdom. In the village of Tasilak, 31-year-old astronomer Telu had been hearing strange stories since his first day there to study the Northern Lights. The villagers told him that under those lights there wasn't just a beautiful light show, but in ancient times there was a hidden temple under these lights. This is just a legend, Telu thought at first, but when he met 78-year-old wise elder Welu in the village, his thoughts began to change. "You're studying the Northern Lights, aren't you?" asked Welu when he saw Telu at the village center. "Yes, for my PhD thesis. I'm studying how auroras affect magnetic fields," said Telu. Welu smiled. "Our ancestors were doing the same thing, but they understood it differently." "How so?" "The Aurora Temple. 500 years ago, our shamans built a sacred temple where the Northern Lights were strongest. There, they communicated with the lights." Telu doubted this from a scientific perspective. "Is this really possible?" "My grandfather showed me its map, but the temple was lost. Nobody knows where it is." This story sparked Telu's curiosity. If such a place really existed, it could be the perfect location for Aurora research. "Can I see this map?" he asked. Welu pointed to his house. "Come with me, but be prepared. This research might take you on a long journey." That evening at Welu's house, he opened an old leather parchment. On it were symbols showing the mountains around the village. "What do these markings mean?" asked Telu. "Places where the aurora appears brightest. Our ancestors thought that by connecting these points, they could find the temple's location." Telu examined this map with his modern astronomy knowledge. Interestingly, the marked places were indeed areas where magnetic anomalies were intense. This makes scientific sense," he murmured. "Our ancestors were scientists too," said Welu proudly. "They just used different tools." The next day, Telu found guide Pelu. 35-year-old Palu was the village's most experienced mountain guide. He could travel safely, even in dangerous weather conditions. "I want to search for the Aurora Temple that Welu mentioned," said Telu. Pelu was surprised. "Are you taking that legend seriously?" "I saw its map. It seems scientifically possible." "Well, but those areas are very dangerous, especially in winter. Weather conditions can change suddenly." "I'm ready to take the risk. This discovery could advance my Aurora research significantly," Pelu thought. "Okay, but I have conditions. We'll go with full equipment, and Welu is coming too." "Welu? He's very old, but he's the person who knows these lands best. The map is his. He knows the routes." They formed a 3-person team. Telu brought scientific equipment, Pelu brought survival gear, and Welu brought traditional knowledge. During the preparation phase, Welu taught Telu ancient aurora observation techniques. Our ancestors didn't just see the aurora, they listened to it too. Listen to it? Yes, the aurora has a sound. If you're very quiet, you can hear it. Telu tested this with modern devices. Indeed, there were low-frequency radio waves during auroras. "This is incredible," said Telu. "How did you know this?" "Tradition," said Welu simply. "Knowledge was passed down through generations." When the first day of the journey came, all 3 were ready. But the adventure waiting for them would be much harder than they expected. In the early morning hours, they left the village with snowmobiles. The first target was the first marked point on the map. It was a high hill 25 kilometers northeast of the village. "Why is this hill special?" asked Telu during the journey. Welu explained. "This place is known as where the aurora is born." According to legend, the northern lights first appeared here. When they reached the hill, Telu set up his devices. The magnetic field readings were indeed abnormal. "The magnetic anomaly is very strong," said Telu. "This spot is really special." Pelu examined the surroundings. There are remains of old structures here. Under the snow, stone arrangements were visible, remains of ancient constructions. "What is this stone circle?" asked Telu. "Observation point," said Welu. "Our ancestors studied the Aurora from here." Telu took measurements from the center of the stone circle. The magnetic field became even stronger from here. "Incredible. These structures concentrate magnetic fields." "Now let's go to the second point," said Pelu. "But the weather is getting worse." Indeed, clouds were gathering and the wind was increasing. The second point was farther and more dangerous. During the journey, a snowstorm began. Visibility decreased significantly. "We need to set up shelter," said Pelu. "We can't continue in this storm." They set up a temporary camp. They would wait until the storm calmed down. While sitting in the tent, Welu told old stories. The Aurora Temple wasn't just a building. It was a spiritual communication center. "What do you mean?" asked Telu. "Shamans talked to Aurora spirits there. They received guidance from them." Even though Telu looked skeptical, the magnetic anomalies were real scientific data. When the storm calmed, they continued their journey. The second point was in the middle of a deep valley. Reaching here meant crossing dangerous rocky terrain. "Why was this valley chosen?" asked Telu. Welu looked at the map. The Aurora's reflection was strongest here, like a natural amplifier. When they descended into the valley, Telu again took magnetic measurements. This point also showed anomalies. "There's a pattern," said Telu. "These points aren't random. They form a geometric arrangement." Pelu found remains of ancient stone structures at the bottom of the valley. "There's a structure here too, but more complex." The stone structure wasn't a circle, but spiral-shaped. As they went toward the center, the magnetic readings increased. "What's the meaning of this spiral design?" asked Telu. "Energy focus," said Welu. "The spiral gathers the Aurora's power to the center." Telu was amazed by this ancient engineering. While modern science builds such sophisticated structures, your ancestors did the same thing 500 years ago. "Knowledge can be in different forms," said Welu, "but the purpose is the same." The third and final point was the most dangerous one. According to the map, it was in the glacier region. "The glacier region is very risky," said Pelu. "Crevasses, avalanche risk. But if the temple really exists, it should be there," said Telu determinedly. "Then we need to take extra precautions," said Pelu. While preparing for the glacier journey, Welu shared important information. "The third point isn't just a location," said Welu. "It's the entrance." "Entrance?" asked Telu. "The Aurora Temple is underground, hidden beneath the glacier." This information changed everything. They wouldn't just search on the surface, they would do underground exploration. "How can an underground structure survive under a glacier?" asked Telu. "Thermal activity," said Welu. "There are natural hot springs in that area. They keep the underground warm." Pelu took additional equipment: ropes for cave exploration, lights, breathing apparatus. When they reached the glacier region, the landscape was breathtaking. Massive ice formations, deep blue crevasses, endless white horizon. Telu took measurements at the third coordinates. The magnetic anomaly was strongest here. "Exactly right here," said Telu. "The magnetic center is this point." Welu examined the surroundings. "We need to find the entrance." A strange heat signature was coming from under the ice. In thermal imaging, an underground cavity appeared. "There's a hollow space here," said Pelu. "It could be a cave system." On the ice there were barely visible cracks, traces of the ancient entrance. "We can enter from here," said Pelu, "but we must be very careful." With ropes, they descended through the glacier crack. After 20 meters, they reached a natural cave. The cave walls weren't ice, but ancient stone, clearly artificial construction. "This structure is very old," said Telu, examining the walls. Welu illuminated the cave with a torch. The walls were covered with hieroglyphs. "What do these writings mean?" asked Telu. "Aurora language," said Welu, "a special writing system used by shamans." Deep in the cave, a faint light was visible, not natural, but artificial light. "Let's go there," said Telu excitedly. But as they approached the light source, the sight they encountered would shock them. The light source came from a large chamber at the deepest part of the cave. When they entered, they were met with a breathtaking sight. The chamber was perfectly circular, and there was a natural opening in the ceiling. This opening passed through the glacier above and opened to the sky. "This is incredible architecture," said Telu. "Natural ventilation, light source, structural stability, everything is perfect." In the center of the chamber was a large stone platform. On the platform were the complex geometric patterns. "This is the Aurora Temple," said Welu reverently, "lost for 500 years. Telu examined the chamber with his scientific equipment. The magnetic field was incredibly strong here. "This platform works like a natural magnetic amplifier," said Telu. "It enhances Aurora activity." Around the platform were ancient symbols. Welu began to translate them. "Ceremonial instructions are written here, methods for communicating with Aurora spirits." "Could they really communicate?" asked Telu skeptically. At that moment, faint green light began coming from the opening in the chamber's ceiling. The Aurora was beginning. "Perfect timing," said Pelu. "The Aurora is active now." Light entered the chamber from the opening and illuminated the symbols on the platform. The symbols began to glow with the Aurora light. This is how it works," said Telu with amazement. "The platform focuses Aurora energy." Welu approached the platform in a traditional position. He began to chant ancient ceremonial songs. Surprisingly, the Aurora lights began to pulse in rhythm with the chant. "This can't be a coincidence," said Telu. "There's a real connection." "Science and tradition explain the same thing in different ways," said Welu. "Aurora is the interaction with Earth's magnetic field. Our ancestors understood this as a spiritual connection." Telu continued to measure with modern instruments. The data was incredible. "These findings will revolutionize Aurora research," said Telu. But they hadn't yet discovered the temple's biggest secret. The Aurora light show continued for hours in the chamber. Telu collected incredible data. The combination of modern science and ancient wisdom was giving unprecedented results. "Why did this temple disappear?" asked Telu. Welu answered with a sad expression. "Climate change. 500 years ago, glacier movement buried the temple. Access became impossible. So what do we do now? We must share this discovery, but in a respectful way." Pelu raised practical concerns. "This place must be protected. There shouldn't be tourist invasion." The three planned together. They would preserve the temple, but provide controlled access. When they returned to the village, they presented the discovery to the village council. The community was excited but cautious. "This is our heritage," said the council leader. "We must manage it carefully." Telu chose a community-based approach instead of publishing his academic paper. He collaborated with local elders. "By combining traditional knowledge and modern science, we'll create a new paradigm in Aurora research," said Telu. The village developed cultural heritage tourism. Visitors could visit the temple in controlled groups, always under the guidance of an elder. Welu became the official cultural guide. He shared traditional knowledge with visitors. "The Aurora Temple isn't just a historical site," Welu told visitors. It's our ancestors' scientific achievement. Telu established a permanent research station. He continued Aurora studies, but now incorporated traditional methods too. When Western science and indigenous knowledge work together, we achieve much deeper understanding, said Telu. The discovery received international attention, but the community maintained ownership. Outside researchers were welcomed with respectful collaboration. Telu founded a specialized ecotourism company. He safely guided adventure seekers to the temple. This isn't just tourism, said Telu. It's cultural education and environmental awareness. A year later, the temple became famous, but its integrity was protected. Revenue went to community development. This discovery changed our lives, said Telu, but most importantly, it was done with respect. Traditional knowledge and modern science aren't enemies, said Welu. They're partners. This adventure showed us, said Telu, that ancient wisdom is still relevant and valuable. This story teaches us, when the wisdom of the past meets today's technology, surprising discoveries are possible. Learning from different cultures and showing respect for ancient traditions is the key to scientific progress. Real discovery isn't just finding new things, but understanding what exists from different perspectives. When Telu's scientific approach combined with the Welu's traditional knowledge, both expanded their understanding. Dear viewers, are there areas in your culture where modern science and traditional wisdom come together? Share your thoughts in the comments, along with the lessons you draw from this fascinating discovery story. If you liked this mystical adventure story, don't forget to hit the like button. By subscribing to our channel, you can discover more mystery, adventure, and cultural discovery stories from the depths of Inuit culture. Until we meet again in our next video, don't forget to listen to the conventional wisdom around you.